Hello and welcome to this fourth episode of Your Hero Story, a mini-series where coaches, consultants, online service providers, and other online entrepreneurs share their story about how they overcame the adversities of an unexpected event in their lives. People like you and me who have suffered some kind of unexpected life event and overcame the adversities and still managed to keep their business running, or they have managed to recover, reinvent themselves and their business. I'm 𝗹𝗶𝗳𝗲 and I am a digital systems and processes strategist. I help online business owners to structure and automate their business processes by offering support and guidance on the tools and tech that will allow them to thrive, grow, and focus on what really moves the needle in their business. If you've just started following me, you should know that my mission is to inform and educate online business owners about the importance of having a business backup plan in place in case they are unable to work for a longer period of time due to unexpected life events, so that their business and income can continue in their absence. The purpose of this mini-series is to bring you the amazing and inspiring hero story of online entrepreneurs and how they overcame the hurdles and kept their business running despite all odds being against them. Now, before I introduce today's guest, you know what to do. Let me know if you can hear me loud and clear. Hi, Martine. Thanks for joining us. If you're tuning in now, just write #live in the chat, type your questions and send us some hearts and emojis. We love it when you interact with us. And if you're watching on replay, same, type #replay in the comments so that we can interact with you and send you hearts and emojis later. Thanks, MJ. Loud and clear. Awesome. So heads up, guys. Today's guest is a Pandora box full of surprises, tips, and tricks. So be sure to have pen and paper to write down the valuable nuggets of wisdom, knowledge, and experience he will be sharing with us. So Michael Anthony, I think it is, Michael A. Guzman, is a video marketing strategist and coach born and raised in New Jersey. That is, I think it is, but he will correct me if I'm wrong. He has worked as a nutritional healer, a fitness trainer, a real estate investor, and as a private life coach, and now as a digital marketing strategist, helping other coaches and online entrepreneurs create a reliable income stream online. So last year, he was struck by fate hard, suffering 2 tragic losses in his family, which destabilized his entire existence. Today, he's going to share with us the obstacles he had to conquer and 5 important life lessons that he used to help him overcome these devastating life events. So without further ado, let's get him on stage. So please send all your hearts and emojis to help me welcome my dear friend, trainer, and coach, Michael A. Guzman. And here he is. Welcome, Michael. You like that, don't you?
That's right up my alley. Showbiz.
Showbiz, yeah, I thought so. So, where do I start? Thanks so much for...
Pretty awesome.
Thanks. Well, thank you for accepting my invitation to tell your story. I really appreciate it, especially because of the nature of your story and because it is still relatively recent. And also, I know you're super busy preparing for the launch of your next training. Is it 3.0? But well, more on that later. So I just want to say thanks for finding the time to be here and share your story. So yeah, just so tell us a little bit about you. We know you're from New Jersey. Did I get that right?
Yes.
But you now live in Orlando. So what made you move all the way across the country besides the warm climate?
Well, at the time when I was moving to Florida, when I made that decision, I had family here. I had a cousin in Orlando, and he was in real estate as an investor, and I had an aunt in real estate as well as a realtor, as a broker. So it just seemed like kind of like a logical choice for me coming from the New York area, because I was living in New York for like, I don't know, 15 years. And so, you know, it was not so far south. Like Miami felt too congested for me, and Orlando was somewhere like in the middle, and in Florida, because I did have a sister and a brother further down south by West Palm.
Okay, that's awesome. So, yeah, so I know you're a family person, and just to give people a little bit of context, I met you and enrolled your training at the end of last year. Before that, you had been off the grid due to two untimely and devastating deaths of your beloved sister and amazing dad, who departed within 2 months, was that, of each other in the first quarter of the year. So yeah, I know you are a family guy, and that family is super important to you. So I cannot begin to imagine how that must have felt for you losing them. So can you give us a little bit of context as to what stage of your entrepreneurship you were when tragedy struck you? So were you just starting a new venture, gaining momentum? How was your business situation at that moment? And I think you were already in Orlando, right? So
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, thank you. I've been in Orlando since 2011. So,
Okay.
and I came here as a real estate investor, and actually I moved from fitness trainer to real estate investor. Then I got my coaching certifications, several of them, through the Tony Robbins group. And so I spent like, I don't know, a year or two doing a bunch of getting certified, right? 100-hour training here, 100-hour training there, that kind of thing. So I worked with private clients, and I think the situation that happened, well, like you said, was within 2 months of each other. It's like lost my sister to cancer end of January 2021, and then what felt like weeks later, sometime in the middle of March, towards the end of March, 20s, I guess, 22nd maybe, I lost my dad to COVID. He got COVID and complications. It was 6 weeks on the ventilator, that kind of thing. So intubation, right? So we lost him, and it was devastating. Yeah, so pretty tough, and it took me out of the game, from the social media game, which to address what you asked me, was like in 2020, I had just created my own program, 30-Day Lives Challenge, which was pretty off the wall, pretty awesome. And lots of people, like more than 50% got like incredible results. You know, everybody got results, but 50% or more made like a lot of money, right? From like $1,000 to $5,000. It was a training that I did live. I did it literally 30 days in a row, like live. And I gave topic, tip, and challenge. And so I felt like from May to November of 2020, I was really just kind of picking up this wonderful steam and this great momentum. But the challenge in the background, which very few people heard about, was that I had my sister dealing with cancer. You know, it had come back, and it was not pretty. And so I was always kind of like emotionally very heavy laden there, right? During that process, I fought everything I could emotionally to just be there and just keep delivering and give value to the people, right? So every day, that was my kind of like only thing. Like I had to justify it in my head saying, well, other people work and go to jobs and to collect a check at the end of the week. I don't do that. My entrepreneurial work is my job, right? So Do other people stop working just because a family member is not well? Not necessarily. Everybody keeps working, right? Best they can. So that's how I justified like doing this, because emotionally it was really tough. But towards the November, September, October, it started getting a little more difficult. So I had planned to launch a 5-day event, my first free 5-day challenge, because I learn as I go, right? So I created 30 Days Live, then I created the Entrepreneur Deep Dive right after it. So it went from 30 days, this one container I did 5-6 times for free, but then I added another one that was more concentrated with individualized support in a live coaching forum for 30 days following, starting with the second one. So now I had kind of 2 programs going, but one was like $200, very cheap. So that was getting really nice, play and feedback. But emotionally, I just, not too unlike kind of like what I just did now, I wanted to take just maybe 2-3 weeks off to prepare for the next one, but I ended up taking too much. But in that case, I took like 3 months off before I created my next program. That was in 2020. So I did feel like I was getting momentum. I didn't feel like I was really clearly getting a lot of momentum. People were hearing about me. Inside my group, it was 2,600 members every day. They were like, "Oh, Michael's video, Michael's live." So it was really exciting. And then I couldn't do it. So I had to like pull away. I just emotionally, I couldn't even. It got to the point where because I do lives, right? Like we're doing now. So I have to be intact energetically for me, emotionally stable, right? So it got to the point where talking, when I first mentioned it to the group, I think sometime mid-September, I think, or August, I kind of lightly let people know what was going on in the back end, because I'm very private as a rule, so I don't really like talking about all that stuff. And that's one area that I had to really get past, right? Because it's a new era, social media. No like and trust factor means people get to connect with you. So if you keep parts of you hidden, it's not really gonna happen that well, right? So it's relatability. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna share. So I shared with the people in my group, and then but kind of the floodgates, So started to get emotional, and I realized that in November I actually kind of did a mini launch, and then I was like, no, I can't do it. So I didn't start the program. And then, so I was out of commission pretty much for 2021, dealing with the emotion. I couldn't even talk for like 1 minute straight without just bawling. So it did stop me a halt to the process. A halt to the process.
So when all that happened, you were kind of gaining momentum, and you were in and out the rest of the year until I think December, right? Because December we started our training together. Yep. So did you already have any clients when that happened? And if so, what did you do with them? How did they react?
Well, I had done what did I do? I did another 30-day live. That was it. I did another 30-day live, and I finished it. And instead of having an offer at the end of it, I just kind of revealed what was going on.
I see. Okay. So how
but I can't.
How did people react? I mean, you say you got to be relatable, and kind of not pour your heart out, but be authentic. And being authentic is, telling people what's going on in your life. So how did people mainly react when you told them, when they knew when you told them what was going on with you?
Well, I mean, people were sympathetic, and
okay.
They certainly were supportive. And months before said, go be with your sister. Just keep everything.
Okay.
With her, And, complication, of course, she was married, et cetera, et cetera. But, so I was doing what I could, and then until I couldn't.
I see. Okay, so this happened in the first quarter of the year, and so we could say you had kind of downtime until the end of the year, right? So that time was just an on and off time where you tried to get back into your business, but emotionally you had like a roller coaster, and you couldn't really focus delivering anything in your business, right? Did I get that right?
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. I did the bare minimum, and like online, all I could muster up to do was maybe like a post a month.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because I just like, hey guys, blah blah blah, this happened, right? Then I was like, hey guys, now 15 people in my family now have COVID. You know, a week later, 2 weeks later, hey, it went from 4 people to 15. Then so I made few posts, maybe at them. I don't know. I'm kind of thinking back. Maybe if I did 4 posts a month, it was a lot. I just try to share a little bit of the journey, because I always keep in mind, like, share the journey, because if you do, though, at least people kind of get who you are as a human being, right? Because we all have problems. Things happen to all of us. And so I didn't want to shy away from that part of it. I just made sure that I kind of tried to connect like that, at least, right? So I shared it, but I'm also a very positive guy. I didn't want to share all drama. Like, this one's dying, oh, now another one's dying. That's not my
wow, yeah.
So, and then the posts were like very supportive. I got, hundreds of comments, and 180, and love and prayers, blah, blah, blah. Hope that things get better, blah, blah. Unfortunately they didn't, like 2 family members, but I did have like 15 people get COVID, and 4 of them ended in the hospital, and 1 never made it out, right? So it was really traumatic. Like, my stepmother and my sister almost got intubated, so it was that bad. Yeah, so I just did what I could, the bare minimum, to kind of like keep people connected with. Plus, it was a little bit good for me to not totally be by myself in the process.
Okay. See, that's important to acknowledge. I mean, a tragic life event doesn't necessarily have to be something that physically happens to us. It can be something that just strikes us emotionally and leaves us incapacitated to think clearly and focus on our business. So let's just shortly acknowledge our viewers. Hey, Marife, nice of you to tune in. Welcome. Happy to have you here. And MJ says, it was a very stressful time for you, and I know the support you had from your audience and clients was a comfort and encouragement to you. Yes, absolutely. So, Michael, what would you say were the biggest hurdles you had to deal with during that tragic time? Did you have any outside support or help, or how did you get back on the wagon?
Yeah, well, our family, thankfully, I come from a split family. Mom and dad was separated early on when I was a year old. So I got my mother's side with my stepfather, and my dad with my sisters and my stepmom. So, so there's a lot of love in my family, basically. And so we came together like that. And so I could say that we really were there for each other. I have 7 sisters, now I have 6 sisters. But so there was a lot of support. We were always, like, when my dad was going through his intubation, we were on the phone 2 hours a day, sometimes 3 hours a day, because we would talk to him on FaceTime, trying to keep him, because they said that he could hear us, and sometimes he would react, So we called every day, sometimes twice a day, but we would all be on the call at least once a day. So we really came together, They had all come to Florida. They had all come to Florida to support. So we were all there for her at the end, right? So
come on, you can do this.
So we went through the process. So I wasn't alone in that respect. But I do live by myself. So the only person that was here with me was my friend, client, Rick, So I don't know if I would have made it through with him. He wasn't around, because he was the person that I talked to every day. And so I would reach out to him, and we would FaceTime. And he had lost his mother like 3 years earlier. So I don't know how he handled me through his own breakdown, because I caused him to break down too. So in that respect, that was what the support that I had. You know, you don't really need a whole bunch of, I don't need a lot of people around, but you have that one person, right?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, one is totally enough if you have the full support. And MJ says, love you, Michael, take a breath. And I guess you already answered her question, because she asks, do you find it difficult even now to share this part of your story? So we can, obviously, it still touches him deeply to remember that episode of his life.
That was my beloved sister, my only full-blooded sister out of 7
Wow.
full-blooded sister. So for me, she was like, I felt like we were tethered, spiritually tethered. I really I never shared this with anybody, but I always had this thing in my mind of like, I don't want to be here without her. So it really hit me when she passed. And then I really kind of just said it, I felt it.
Yeah.
So I stopped everything. And, so at the time, that was the most challenging part, because I have to support myself too. So what I did was I turned all my attention from doing the 30-day live challenges, which was going smoothly like clockwork, end of 2020. I also started investing in the stock market, because I had started that in 2020. And that was booming so well, 435% increase in portfolio and everything, thousands of dollars. So this was me and Rick. And so I let go of the internet stuff, the social media stuff, but I turned my attention to the stock market, because I got to support myself, right? So then I was helping people with their portfolios. So I still was working, but what I could do, like I couldn't talk to you even for a minute without bawling, but I forced myself to sit here and learn to come. Well, I had done this trade 20 years earlier, successfully, very successfully. So I already started like a year earlier. I was doing multiple things, right? But I had gotten such great success, I turned my attention to that. So I forced myself to get up at 8 a.m. I was on the call, at 9 a.m. I was on another training call, at 11 on another call, 11:30 on another call, and 12:30. I was like 4 or 5 with multi-millionaires, learning the best strategies in the market. So I did that for months. That kept me sane, but I'd be falling apart, And but I pushed myself through it, because all I had to sit there and learn and trade in the market. So the market made me go away mentally, so I could deal with it, because I didn't have to deal with talking to people. So I made money. I supported myself that way. But I knew I actually started the process to build a cryptos training program. And then I realized that it wasn't where my heart was. And I did not want to, after doing it, I just dug in deep for like 3 months straight. I was like, oh my God, I do not want to talk to market, anything with anybody at all. So that's speaking to your passion, right?
Mm-hmm.
As an entrepreneur,
Okay.
are you gonna do that? Is it gonna move you? Is it gonna be the thing that gets you up in the morning? And I realized that it really wasn't.
Yeah.
So, and if I was gonna continue in this world, in this life that was now bereft of my beautiful sister and my amazing dad, and we're all falling apart, I had to make it count. So it shifted how I, interacted. I never really have been the chasing the Benjamins guy. I've always been like, I want to do something that feels good to me, where I'm helping people and not just sitting there plugging away, trying to make my own numbers for myself. I've kind of been there, done that. And so this was like a repeat of that. And then I switched gears. So I had one program that I was still in, and I reached out to them. I had a coach there that mentored me like every week. They would reach out to me, hey, how can we support you? Basically, that's it, And I would have little chats or what have you. So that kind of like was a little bit of a lifeline, that I hung on to. And little by little, by August, I jumped into another little mini program, and I got clarity that I didn't want to do the stock market. So I said, okay, I'm back to what I started.
Okay, so you basically kept yourself afloat, so to speak, with investing in stock market during that time. Okay. Oh, let's well, 𝗶𝗺𝗽𝗀 says hi guys. Hi to you. And MJ says the grieving must happen for any loss of a loved one or loss of health. Trying to stop the grief can cause more harm than just breathing through it and allow it to flow through. I broke down many times in my life, on my live videos when I was trying to keep my audience updated. It is okay. Your tribe loves you. Yes, absolutely. We love you, Michael. Hey, good to see. Okay, so I see. Would you say, Michael, that your tragic life event influenced the way you do and manage your business, or what you offer and how you help people?
Well, yeah, everybody chooses differently, right? So, like for me, I'm not a millennial, right? So, X-Gen.
No,
And so you look at it differently when you're in your 20s versus when you're in your 50s, and certainly if you're in the 60s or later, right? So it's like, what's more important, right? What's more important? And for me,
yeah.
the quality of my life has always been the top priority. So that's what made me become an entrepreneur number one. And I decided that a long time ago. So thankfully, I've been self-employed for more than 15 years. And so I learn a few things about how to deal with circumstances and situations. I see myself with $0 in my bank account, and then a month later I have a couple thousand, and I've made thousands in a day, so like I don't panic necessarily. But this was a different kind of problem. It was deeply emotional, so it felt like, what can I do, and in 2017, I went driving for Uber and Lyft. So I was like, I do whatever I have to do to keep things flowing, right? And I got back on track, and I repaired my credit. I bought a car, and and now everything's good, right? And we're gonna buy Airbnb stuff soon. I got that in the works. But yeah, it's about. I knew that I just needed to keep doing what I was doing, because that is the way. Number one, online is the way to go today, because if you're not, you're going to be sitting with the dinosaurs.
Absolutely. And you promised us your 5 important life lessons. So go ahead with that. Okay. Let me just, guys, get pen and paper and write down these life lessons. So I'm looking forward to seeing what you got, to hearing what you got for us.
Well, I think, Marjane, the bright coach that she is as well. She's insightful, intuitive.
I do.
The very first one was allow your emotions to run their course. We have to accept the grieving. So even saying that, I want to just cry, right? So you can't hold it back. So people try to be like this. And they pretend, Don't pretend, just be effing real. Be human, right? Breathe into it. Let it flow. We all go there. We all experience it. And that's where the healing will really happen. If you don't allow that to happen, you're just holding yourself back, right? So that's number one. And I did that, I did that. And you'll see yourself better for it on the flip side, that I can tell you, that I can promise you, right? And then the number two was connect with a supportive family, or at least one supportive friend who will always be there for you. We just covered that, right? For me, it was my friend and client, Rick, and my family. Sometimes not family doesn't mean love for everyone, guys, okay? Because I know many families are very broken, gay boys and girls that are excommunicated from their families are perfectly family, right? And mom and dad don't want to talk to them. It still happens, right? But it happens with people for other reasons, right? An addictive dad, a sexual abuse, an alcoholic father, whatever, right? So family doesn't automatically mean love bubble,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you know, I like to point that out because they might not be your source of support. In this case, my family was so much love, and I've always known that. My dad was like amazing as a patriarch. Stepmom was just a Martha Stewart. She's creative, talented, and loving. So we never had all that bickering and that nastiness, you know, who talked about the other and all that stuff just didn't exist. So I'm thankful for that, you know, and neither was my sister that passed away. So we connected with each other. That made all the difference in the world, you know. I didn't care if I didn't have anybody else. We all came together. And so that was number two. Number three was reprioritize, which is kind of like what I was sharing a little bit, stepping into the idea of what am I going to do now? You know, so I go for a job somewhere, make it easy. I couldn't even think about that. It made me want to throw up. That idea was like, ugh. I know that I have what it takes to do what I need to do online and be far more successful than I ever could if just go back to you know, some type of brick and mortar kind of existence, you know, clock in and clock out. Like that doesn't even like play in my brain anymore. Right? You know, so I had to reprioritize, which is what I did. I did what I had to do. I couldn't talk online for even a minute, so I stopped that. Obviously, I couldn't do it. Like Marjan has said in your previous interview, you know, wanted to give to your clients, but at some point you realize that you can't. You have to, right? So I did what I could. My brain was still very active, and it was a good getaway. Like the stock market was like an escape. I did great for a couple of months there, like $1,000 in crypto. Created a video, it went viral. It's like 36K. That was like in April last year, in the middle of my trauma. I created one video that went viral. I was like, wow. And hundreds of comments, positive comments in this freaking video. I was like, well, that's kind of cool. You know what I mean? But I was like, I still was like, so I was like, foot in, foot out. I was like, no. It took me months to get it because I had to get past the hurt and the pain and the grieving, right? So finally I reprioritized. And I realized that where my heart was in the social media stuff that I had done. That I didn't fear. That I didn't run away from. I wanted to run to that, actually. That felt like the thing that I wanted to be organic. See? So that's the key right there, right? You have to be in tune with yourself, or at least pay attention. If you allow the grieving to happen, or if you get into guilt or blame, or that jerk, or that one does not support me, that's the kind of stuff that throws people off. I just go to a peaceful place, like this is what's happening, and I don't get caught up in all that craziness because I've worked past my traumas. You know, I didn't have as many as some people, right? So that was number three. Then reconnecting was number four. And that was the lifeline that I shared with you, that I was in this one program, you know, that gave me a mentor that reached out to me weekly. How can we support this? That was all it was. And I said, well, I'm thinking about doing this, thinking about doing that. It was actually two programs I was in. And I had a call with one of them, and she was telling me, so I started working on the back end on the crypto program, and I was like, oh, I put it together because I knew everything about stock options and stuff. So I actually was really starting to work together with that, but you know, so that helped me. The reconnecting allowed me to kind of get out of my own way a little bit. You know, it's like you can't be suffering 24/7, right, guys? You can't be suffering. Suffering is, or grieving is temporary. Thank God for that, right? Like even when you have an accident, sometimes you don't even feel the pain, but you got your leg cut off. But you know, the body just to protect you, you know, and then you know, you're like, really? I'm like, oh, I'm like, you know, that happens, right? Yeah. So, you know, reconnecting with the entrepreneur community, I got support, and that was important to help me get back into the game slowly. And the last one is number five. After a couple of weeks or a couple of months where I let all these things happen down the road, I realized that it was time to begin to start creating a new vision for myself. You have to decide. I can't decide for you, right?
Absolutely.
You're the one who's going through the trauma or went through trauma. Marjan could have given up. Her support person didn't. and then she didn't, right? And then she came back, right? And I remember I was talking with Mashan during the trials during that time because I reached out to her, she reached out to me, and we connected a little, talked here and there. So I remember her, all her stuff, and you know, that's what happens, right? So after a couple weeks, a couple months on the road, I had to start tapping into what do I really want? You know, my vision. What would I like to create? And those are the top 5 things. So I'm going to repeat them for you really quick. Just allow the emotions to run their course, right?
That's one.
Number 2 was connect with support, family, wherever, friends. Number 3 was reprioritize the things that are important to you. Like, you know, we have so many things at us. If you're going to try to do this, do that, do this, you're going to go nuts. Just stop, right? Your health, your well-being, sleep. I was in bed hours every day. Just let it ride, you know, reprioritize. Clear on the things that are super important. At that point, it's your emotional stability. That's it. If it just means talking to Miriam for 4 hours every day, that's it. Your friend, right?
Absolutely.
And that's what I did. Reprioritize. Reconnect means to reach out to those people who have been there for you, or who at least are saying, hey, can I help you? In this case, it was people like Marjan and people in my course, right? She's like, hey, if you need something, and I reciprocated with her. She was going through some stuff, and I knew I had things that I could share that would help her, and I did. And it did. She took little things that I said, and, you know, so reconnecting, and then creating a vision.
Creating a vision, yeah.
Without
yeah, that's...
perish.
MJ says, I used it as an opportunity to redesign my business when she had her, how did she call it? Crash and burn. And she also says self-care has to be first. Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely. We all agree on that. Self-care.
Nothing matters. Nobody matters. Your gossip doesn't matter. Your political bullshit doesn't matter. You know, like, I did away with all that crap, you know? You want to keep your right-left game going? Go ahead. I'm not even going to count. You know what I'm saying? Just, no.
Okay, so those were, guys, if you agree, send us some hearts. Those were like really, really absolutely 5 gold nuggets. I mean, anybody who is who has gone through something similar, you know, loss of a loved one, doesn't matter if it's 10 years or 10 weeks. I mean, it always hurts. So there's hearts coming in. So yeah, very valuable tips. Thank you, Michael. So I have another question. And so if you could go back, let's say 2 years, what advice would you give your entrepreneurial self in order to prepare yourself for an unexpected life event?
Well, my sister was one that was really very prepared for a lot of the stuff. At least she tried the best she could. She hired a lawyer. She had an LLC. Everything was properly, you know, prepared, like systemized, right? Even then, things still got screwed up when she passed, right? She ended up passing a few, a little bit earlier than, I don't know, they were going to send her some kind of check, and she didn't get to sign it right before she passed, and it became a whole, and the banks are crooks, period. And they used it against her husband, and she had dotted all the T's, crossed all the T's, dotted all the I's, and then as an excuse to take away 50% of his, what she had done. You know, because then he didn't qualify for the partner program and all that stuff, whatever. Because she didn't. So it is important to be prepared. You know, she did her very best, and still the system is rigged against us. So slice it, guys. It just is. And I'm not talking about political parties or anything like that. It's just a system. It's worldwide. It's global. It's happening in India. It's happening in Germany. It's happening everywhere, right? Because the man, right? Whoever they are, you know, they control the economy, control the world, they control us. So we do the best that we can, and that would be prepared, right? I don't have any inkling about like all the systems that you talk about, Miriam, until I started hearing you talk about them. you know, the business backup, plan, roadmap. It's like, I don't have a list of that, who's going to do this for me? Who's going to do that for me at that? She had started that, and she had taken me months before she passed to sit with the lawyers so that, my place in her plan is clear,
Mm-hmm.
passes and stuff like that. And still it got muddled up, because of the banks and the way they're structured. So it still takes months and sometimes years to get things squared away. I came back. How about if you can't? How about that person who loses the leg and just can't go to traditional construction worker job that he had or whatever? You know what I mean? Like, or you lose whatever it is. It could be anything, right? As people have breakdowns and then the other person breaks down more, right? Like a husband and wife. How many times have we heard the wife passed away 3 months later? That's how dramatic these things can be.
Absolutely.
Right? So then you lose everything. So what happens in the meantime? So I don't know. I think like nothing. I had never heard of anything like what you're talking about. So 2-3 months ago when you created it in my program. Anyway,
say it out loud. It was because of you, because you looked at it and you were like, you need to get this out, because it's just started as a workbook, as a PDF I was going to sell at some point. And you told me I had to go out with this big time because everybody needs this. So here I am, and it's your fault.
And the cool part is that it's something that really people do really need. And usually you only hear it from like lawyers. I know that. I've been there, done that, I've been in the mix with high-end people with making lots of money, 6-7 figures. And you only hear about that kind of stuff through lawyers. And they're not really telling you. They're just offering it to you as a service. Like, I'm going to charge you $5,000 for this, another $1,000 for that, but we're going to take care of this and that. And you're coming in with something that's like blowing people away. Nothing really, because you're giving it away mostly, even if it paid $27
for now. It's for free.
So, I think it's it's important because a lot of people are new in the market, right? There's thousands of people going into the online space, creating LLCs for the first time who really know nothing about business. You're in for quite a shocker unless you start doing things right, and things can and do happen. You don't want to think about it, but I'm sure Marjane didn't want to think about it until all of a sudden. Final problems.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about law of attraction. You were there and commented on it. So, okay, let's just sum this up real quick. Tragedy and unexpected life events can happen to any of us at any given moment, right? Would you agree, guys? So you need to make sure that your business and income is protected in the event that you are unable to work for a longer period of time, be it an accident, illness, or loss of a loved one in this particular case. So for this, you need to have a business backup plan in place in the event of your unexpected absence. So if you're not sure how to do it or don't know where to start, sign up for my free 5-day business backup bootcamp starting next Monday, September 12th. I will teach you how to set up a bulletproof contingency plan for your business in just 5 days so that you can have peace of mind knowing that your business is protected. So don't delay. Get this done once and for all. And you DM me here on Messenger and Facebook to get the sign-up link. And now, Michael, I want to know what's up next for you. What are you working on? When is it happening? When is what happening? Tell us about it.
Thank you, Miriam. I'll get to that in a second. Thank you for that enthusiastic, shout out. So here's what I want to invite you to do right now is I because I know what you have, and I would love for you. I think it's a great because so many people don't know. I would like for you to tell them what your DNA process is, at the very least. Give them a little snippet of what this thing looks like, What's the D, what's the N, what's the A? Because
Okay.
I for one, and somebody new, I don't know your thing. You know what I mean? Like, tell me a little bit about it so I know what.
Oh, okay, you're right, you're right. Okay, this was about you, but of course, I can tell a little bit about that. So, the DNA formula is kind of a framework I came up with of how to structure your business backup plan. So, it's the 3 pillars. So the D stands for define. So, which is comprised of 3 steps. So define what happens to your business, who takes care of what and how. Then the N stands for notification. So who needs to be notified first, then how to trickle it down to other people relevant to your business and customers and third parties you work with, contractors. And the A stands for assess, which means you need to assess all your business assets and define which business assets and finances, and decide what's going to happen with, I don't know, tools and memberships you have going on. So that's basically, in a nutshell, the roadmap, which is the DNA formula of the business backup plan.
Thank you, because it's been a while since I've heard it, right? So
okay, yeah, it's been a while since I talked about it.
it is big. Like, I'm sitting here talking about what I'm going through, but a little refresher, right? So
absolutely.
And I think you asked about what's next on my plate. Is that what you had asked?
Yes, please tell us.
Well, I'm doing what I can to get back in the swing. And my program, I'm creating a 5-day challenge coming up very soon. The dates to be announced, because I have so many pieces to put in place. My goal is to have it at the end of this month. It might be the very first week of October, right? So I don't have a solid date on it yet. But it's my Lives That Sell challenge, and it's an evolution from the program that you have been currently involved in, right, this year, right? That got you here, right? Making videos, being confident on camera, interviewing people, which you never thought in a million years you'd probably be doing, right?
Absolutely not.
The beauty of that, this is what has brought Miriam here, which I love, right? And I'm excited about that. And thanks to Marjan, who introduced her to me, having that confidence in me, Marjan, as well, right? So this is how we support each other. So that's what I do, is I create a supportive community. And I'm expanding the program. So it went from a 60-day to a 90-day. Now it's going to be a 4-month program. Why? Not just because I want to make more money. It's because I saw, as I built it, that's kind of like the germinating time.
Mm-hmm.
Time to germinate. You got to get used to the new language, the new systems, the how-tos, how to create, your thing. Who is your avatar? It doesn't pop into your head overnight, but with systemized follow-up, right, and consistent support, you can get there in a shorter time than if you're left to your own devices. That I know, right?
Yes. And guys, I can speak to that. I mean, as Michael mentioned, I've never done a live before in my life before I joined his program. And I never dreamt of even having my own show and interviewing people. So all this is possible through his program.
I love that. And we support each other, right? So I'm helping build Miriam up, and look how amazing she's blossomed and blossoming. So I'm here to take people by the hand. And my goal is to create a team, a solid foundation, and grab entrepreneurs from wherever they are to where they want to go, and keep helping them build it. Because what happens when you start making money? So you have to learn how to create a business. You start making money doesn't mean that you have a business. It's like there's 2 different things. You can make money, but then do you really have a business? The business means you have systems, you have processes, you have a goal, you have a vision, right? These are the things that come, and you're not just exercising different tactics. Oh, I got an email campaign. I learned how to do that. Oh, another tactic and another tactic. I learned how to do Messenger. You have to have a bigger plan. Like, what's that for you? What would that look like for you? That's why I do my program. Very customized, right? The next one's called Lives That Sell, 5-day video challenge for online entrepreneurs. And so you'll be hearing more about it. And that's it.
So for anybody wanting to join that 5-day video challenge live, that's how can they sign up?
ISL 5-day video challenge for online entrepreneurs. Just type in challenge if you want to hear more about it. I'd be happy to share with you, put you on the list. I'm going to create a new pop-up group just for this challenge. So as soon as I have my registration page set up and kind of like the foundation set, then I will reach out. So I'm happy to chat with anybody. Just type in
okay, guys. Yeah, you heard it. Type in challenge here in the chat if you're watching on replay as well, and Michael will reach out to you. MJ is busy in the chat, so if you watch the replay and are thinking that will never happen to me, that is a lie. If you do not have a plan for the what if, take the bootcamp, start taking action to get this plan in place for you and your family.
Yes.
And there is no competition in the marketplace for entrepreneurs who serve and complement each other. True, Miriam was great doing recorded videos, but to be live, no, she is doing wonderful. Okay, thanks. I saw the possibility and I knew Michael could get her there. Yes, absolutely. And no, without a doubt in her mind, she said, Michael can help you. Get on the waiting list for Michael's 5-day live challenge. Yes, thank you so much, MJ, for your messages. And
guys,
I think
what it looks like, okay, guys, ladies and gentlemen.
Support, yeah, absolutely.
This is what support really looks like, okay? MJ's so correct. When you give value and you're here to help, there is no competition.
Absolutely. And guys, let me just point out that it's no accident that Michael is teaching people to do videos online. He has a long story of working in showbiz, so you're in the right place if you wanna learn the lights, camera, action, and how to be what to say. My problem was what to say. I mean, I'm not as shy being on the camera. I just didn't know what to say, and Michael helped me get over that hurdle. And practice makes perfect. Practice makes progress, not perfect.
Right.
Practice makes
progress. Correctly, because you can practice wrong and get it all messed up.
Exactly.
The wrong practices, So it's funny, the little statement, because I used to like that, but it's not necessarily true. Practice doesn't always make perfect. You have to get the right teacher, and then you get it right, and then you can excel.
Absolutely. Those are. So, Michael, any last words before we wrap this up?
Miriam, I think you've got a great program. Everybody listening, really take Marjana's words and mine. We're not dumb people. And it's worth checking out what Miriam has to say with this online bootcamp, business backup bootcamp. Is it bootcamp? Yeah. Because we cover really important things. And I promise you won't get scared. You just be awakened to new possibilities of what you need to pay attention to. So it's very well worth it. And I know she offers herself, to help and maybe set it up for you and little things like that. So I would tell you if you have a business and you really care about it, it makes total sense.
Great, thank you. And I'm just reiterating again, if you want to learn how to go live and do awesome videos and sell without selling. Yes, contact Michael. Okay, so that's it, folks. Just under an hour. That's perfect. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And feel free to share your takeaways in the comments. We'd love to know what impacted you the most. And if you found this valuable, share it with your friends, family, and other business owners who you think might benefit from Michael's experience. And that's it from me. Thank you so much, everybody.
Let's all win together. Let's all win together.
Let's all win together. Absolutely. Support each other. Thank you, Michael, for being my guest today. Thank you, MJ, 𝗶𝗺𝗽𝗀, and everybody that was online watching. And have a great day or evening from wherever you are. Bye, everybody. Bye-bye.